gentlemen, your attention, please. During the next presentation, may I request your absolute silence?
Well, I thought my razor was dull until I heard his speech. And that reminds me of a story that's so dirty I'm ashamed to think of it myself.
For I have a message of great importance for everyone in the audience.
I implore you, send him back to his father and brothers, who are waiting for him with open arms in the penitentiary. I suggest that we give him 10 years in Leavenworth or 11 years in Twelveworth.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take 5 and 10 in Woolworth.
Now remember, please, absolute quiet.
Cut the cards.
Absolute quiet.
Los hermanos Marx, Groucho, Chico y Harpo fueron las principales estrellas cómicas de su tiempo. Irreverentes, impredecibles y contracorriente, llenaron los Estados Unidos de risas en la época de la Depresión. Y sorprendentemente, su humor tiene tanta influencia hoy como cuando hicieron sus películas clásicas. Esos son los hermanos Marx que conocemos y amamos, pero su historia es mucho más. Los irreverentes hermanos Marx.
The Marx brothers are retiring from the silver screen.
That's right, folks. We're on our way. That's all right, folks. Well, where do we go from here?
Puede que Groucho, Chico y Harpo hubiesen precipitado el final de su carrera, pero lo cierto era que los hermanos habían perdido el entusiasmo por el mundo del cine, de modo que en 1941 se retiraron. No era la primera vez que sus carreras habían llegado a un punto muerto, pero como solo 5 años después del importante éxito de Una noche en la ópera y Un día en las carreras. ¿Cómo habían llegado a esto? Todo comenzó en la Alemania del siglo XIX, donde sus abuelos maternos dirigían una compañía ambulante de teatro. Levi Schoenberg era un mal mago, Fanny era una arpista tirolesa. Cuando llegaron a los Estados Unidos, su hija Minnie tenía 15 años. 7 años más tarde, la brillante, competente y ambiciosa Minnie se casaba con Sam Marx. Frenchy, como le llamaba todo el mundo, era, a decir de la mayoría, un hombre muy agradable, un gran cocinero, pero como sastre muy malo. Frenchy y Minnie criaron a 5 chicos, pero lo que pocos saben es que hubo un sexto hermano Marx.
Chico was born after the firstborn died, and his name was Manfred. Because Chico came after that, Minnie was very attached and adored him.
Leonard nació en 1887. De niño, Chico aprendió a hacer dinero en salas de apuestas, pistas de carreras y bares.
1 scotch, 1 rye. Okay, lady, I sent him right over.
Chico caused trouble from the time he was quite young. I mean, he got into gambling. He was a compulsive gambler by the time he was 12.
Una vez, cuando iba a entregar un traje de parte de su padre, perdió una apuesta y los pantalones con un estafador local, de modo que robó las tijeras de Frenchy y las empeñó para recuperar los pantalones. Su personaje en la escena, el adorable artista del timo, ya iba tomando forma.
It is very likely because whatever love Minnie was able to give was so directed at Chico that Chico was probably felt the most secure in himself because he's the one who wheeled and dealed jobs for them. And though probably he never cracked open a book, he was very articulate and delightful.
She used to give him, 50 cents a week to get piano lessons, and maybe he got to the piano teacher once out of 4 times because he gambled the 50 cents away on the way to the teacher.
Nobody ever had played the piano like him before, and nobody's ever played it like him since. It's quite an unusual technique that he developed all by himself. You know, he worked very hard at it, but only when he had to. The only time he ever practiced at all was when he had a show to do. He left us this remarkable legacy of how he played the piano, and people probably remember him more for his piano playing than anything else.
En 1888 nacía Adolf. A la sombra de la sociabilidad de chico, este muchacho, que después se cambiaría el nombre por Arthur y finalmente por Harpo, se convirtió en el hijo bueno.
Every day he'd come home from school, he'd go by the window and he'd see the man rolling the cigars. And as he rolled the cigars, he made this remarkably hideous-looking face. He couldn't help it. It was just a reaction. The man would go, and the cigar would be made. And Dad thought that was one of the best-looking men he had ever seen in his life. He developed the gookie. As a result, it became a part of his act.
Una vez perfeccionado el gesto, Harpo golpeó la ventana, hizo la mueca y enfureció al hombre de los cigarros. Así que el comienzo de Harpo desafiando a las figuras autoritarias no es totalmente inocente.
Hey, you're a wide guy, ain't you? Let go of that club. Give me that club here. Did you see that badge?
He taught himself how to play the harp. Having no resources to go out and get lessons, he learned on the job as playing accompaniment for the brothers, and they incorporated the harp into the act.
Daddy was a great ragtime pianist, and he had fun at the piano, but Harpo was a really great musician, extraordinary harpist.
En 1890 se completó el famoso trío cuando nació Julius. Tranquilo e intelectualmente curioso, acostumbraba a encerrarse en el baño para leer, almacenando el arsenal verbal que le caracterizaría.
Not that I care, but where is your husband?
Why, he's dead.
I'll bet he's just using that as an excuse.
I was with him till the very end.
No wonder he passed away.
I held him in my arms and kissed him.
Oh, I see. Then it was murder. Will you marry me? Did he leave you any money? Answer the second question first.
Incluso de niño, Julius era cuidadoso con el dinero. Minnie le daba 5 centavos para comprar pan. Él compraba una barra del día anterior por 4 centavos y se quedaba el resto. Groucho siempre asoció dinero con seguridad. Los 3 hermanos Marx pasaron a ser 4 en 1892, cuando nació Milton, y 5 en 1901, cuando Herbert se convirtió en el 5º hermano Marx. Los hijos de Minnie se criaron en un barrio de inmigrantes pobres de la zona este de Nueva York de principios de siglo.
Minnie's determination to see her son succeed was possibly reflective of feeling a failure in her own life and feeling that these boys had it.
Guiados por su madre, hicieron cualquier cosa por huir de la pobreza. Esa voluntad de hacer de todo les capacitó para sobrevivir a los horrores del vodevil de poca monta.
The boys were doing so badly in school, except for Groucho, they were all playing hooky, that she decided to put them all into show business so they'd be in one place where she could keep an eye on them.
Comenzaron haciendo un número musical familiar. Primero fueron los 3 y después los 4 ruiseñores. Este es Groucho, aunque parezca Harpo con la sonrisa desdentada. Años después, Groucho recordaba una de sus primeras actuaciones.
And I walked out on the stage, and there were 60 musicians sitting out front, dressed in evening clothes. I'd never seen anybody dressed in evening clothes except my father when he got married. But here were all... Here were these 60 men, and I was stiff with fright. But I bellowed this song out. I was young enough to have courage in those days. Anyhow, this is the way the chorus went. Of course, you must remember that I could sing then. Somebody, sweetheart, I want to be. Somebody's heart beating all for me. Somebody's 2 arms around me. When I feel blue, somebody's sweetheart, and that means you. That was it.
Daddy told me that the first time Harpo went on stage, He was so terrified he wet his pants on stage. Poor little boy. He was very sweet. I loved Harpo.
Para los hermanos Marx, en el vodevil no hubo glamour. Recorrieron el país cantando en teatros perdidos con la única compañía de sus sueños, lejanos e idealistas, para mantenerlos en la brecha.
The face boy would sing, way down by the sad seaside, and then Gummer would sing, sat two lovers side by side, and Harper would sing, first he sighed, and then she sighed, and then I'd sing, and then they both sighed side by side, and then we'd sing, Peasy Weezy, what's his name? Peasy Weezy, what's his?
Chico was in the same town that his brothers were in. And when he saw that they were playing, he bribed the guy in the pit who played the piano to let him stand in for him. And when his brothers saw him in the pit, they started throwing things at him, and he threw them back, and he joined the act.
En 1910 tuvo lugar un avance importante para los hermanos, y sobre todo en Nagadoches, Texas.
They would do a show and get on a train and move to the next town and do another show.
What happened is, as they were in the middle of their song, and not a very good song at that, a man runs in and says, "Runaway mule, runaway mule." And the audience raced out to see a runaway mule. So Groucho was just furious. When the audience finally filed back in, he made comments like Nagadoches
is full of roaches. I think that was the kind of thing that they were saying. But the people thought it was funny.
And then apparently Dad decided on the spur of the moment to dive under a rug that was on the stage and go across the stage under the rug. And Chico ran over and started shooting the piano keys, and they became a comedy act as a result of this.
El número acabó siendo una obra llamada Humor en la escuela. Los hermanos provocaban el caos en cada ciudad en la que actuaban, subiendo y bajando por los pasillos, improvisando alocadamente y destruyendo prácticamente el teatro.
Elderly man came up to see me. He must have been in his 90s, and he said, "I just want you to know that the Marx Brothers were the greatest. And I know because I was there. I saw them in vaudeville." And I said, "Well, thank you." There were guys that came out of that era that were just fabulous, like Jack Benny and W.C. Fields. And the man said to me, they were all a breath of fresh air. But the Marx Brothers, they were a hurricane.
Now listen, you're making a big mistake. These fellas are very clever. They're funny fellas. And I've got a play that I've written that I'd like to explain to you. I'd like to read this manuscript for you. It's a wonderful play, and these fellas would fit in it. Now, if you'll just come over and sit down with me for a minute, I'll explain the whole thing to you.
En Humor en la escuela, Groucho interpretaba a un severo profesor, papel que encarnaría 20 años después en Plumas de caballo.
Now then, baboons, what is a corpuscle? That's easy. First as a captain, then as a lieutenant, then as a corpuscle. That's fine. Why don't you bore a hole in yourself and let the sap run out?
Los hermanos eran una fuerza desatada sobre el escenario, pero fue un acto de desesperación de Minnie lo que les dio el empuje que necesitaban. En 1914 tuvo la valentía de comprar una página de publicidad entera en la revista Variety. En ella garantizaba descaradamente que los hermanos Marx reventarían la taquilla o trabajarían gratis. Resultó, y de ahí en adelante consiguieron contratos en firme en los grandes circuitos del vodevil.
She took the name of Minnie Palmer and she became an agent. And when Daddy joined the act, one of the things he discovered was that in order to sell some of her acts, she'd sell the Marx Brothers cheaper. So he, very gently, because he adored Minnie, but he managed to get the reins away and become the manager. And he stayed their manager until the very end.
I'm sincerely proud to greet you and thank you very much for coming here. Chico, I've been a fan of yours, may I say this, since I was about this high when I saw you in duck soup. Are you really brothers?
Well, as far as I know. You know, a lot of people ask me, are we really brothers, and can Harpo talk, and how'd you get your name, is he going to make any more pictures? You know, Harpo can really talk. If you don't think he can talk, just play golf with him and let him miss a putt that big, you'll hear. How we got our names is a very interesting thing.
One night, the Marx Brothers were involved in a backstage game of stud poker, and a comedian named Art Fisher was dealing. And he dealt a card to Leonard, and he stopped and he said, wait a moment, you're always chasing the chicks.